Today, we're tackling a topic that's close to home for so many Startists, overcoming technology fears.
We'll share our own experiences and walk you through practical tips to boost your tech confidence. Let's get started. Hi, this is Laura Lee Griffin.
And this is Nikki May with the Startist Society, inspiring you to stop getting in your own way and start building an art biz and life that you love.
We are artists who believe strongly in the power of community, accountability, following your intuition, taking small, actionable steps, and breaking down the barriers of fear and procrastination that keep you stuck.
Follow along with us on our creative business journey as we encourage you on yours. Here are 20 tips for overcoming technology fears for artists and other creatives running their own businesses. Let's first talk about mindset shifts.
All right, so number one is to adopt a growth mindset. Remind yourself that tech skills can be learned with practice. No one is born tech savvy.
Well, I was, but we can't all be so lucky.
Well, that's surprising, Nikki, because I thought you were born in the dinosaur ages.
Oh, yeah, I actually was. I guess my tech skills were lying dormant for a few years, decades. So the next tip is to focus on benefits. Think about how technology can make your work easier and save time or help you reach more customers instead of just being afraid of it.
And we have some upcoming episodes on AI tools that can really help you so much with this.
I know, I can't wait to get to those episodes. I've been having so much fun with my new AI assistant.
Number 3 is to take it one step at a time. Now, we've been talking about this a lot in the last few episodes of tackling one new tool or one feature at a time instead of overwhelming yourself with all the things at once.
Which totally goes along with my word of the year, habits. I love the idea of working on one new thing at a time until it becomes a habit. And the same thing works with fear. Take one small step that's just a little bit scary and outside your comfort zone and repeat it until it's not scary anymore. Then take one more step, rinse and repeat.
Number 4 is to embrace imperfection. And it's okay to make mistakes while learning. Consider them just part of the process. And I'm going to be honest here. This is something I really suck at, Nikki.
Well, I am the queen of mistakes. Just take a look at my bus. And replace I can't with I'm learning. So shift your language to encourage a more positive approach to technology. Again, take a look at my bus.
Well, you can also replace I can't with I get to learn, right? Instead of it's like I have to learn or something, it's sort of I get to, and I get to add to my toolkit.
For sure.
All right, so let's talk about some practical approaches to technology. So number 6 is, again, starting small. Begin with simple, user-friendly tools designed for beginners. You don't need all those bells and whistles when you first get started. The next one is to set specific goals. Focus on a tech task that's tied to your business goals. So an example could be, setting up an online shop or automating email newsletters. Now, I would say setting up an online shop, I would break it down even more from that because that can be a little overwhelming, Nikki, to say, I'm going to go set up a website now, right?
Absolutely. All of these specific goals need to be broken down into steps to make it easier to do.
Mm-hmm. So using tutorials can really come in handy here. Taking Skillshare classes, watching YouTube videos, or just following step-by-step guides to learn new tools. And most software or online services actually have really great documentation and tutorials to help beginners that are downloadable, or they'll have an FAQ that might have links to videos. Or of course, you can listen to your favorite podcasts on these topics.
We can think of one.
All right. The next one is to practice regularly. Spend a little bit of time each day on tech tasks to build confidence. Work it into your calendar to spend, even if it's 5 or 10 minutes each day learning. If you're scared about email marketing, for example, spend 10 minutes watching a YouTube video on how to create a welcome sequence.
And listen to our upcoming series that's going to talk all about it.
Yes. And next is to ask for help. Reach out to tech-savvy friends or hire someone for a quick consult. And don't forget about our Startist Society Facebook group. You can always ask questions in there.
and we're all happy to help. All right. So the next set of tips is about building confidence.
Hmm.
Uh, the first one is to make sure you're experimenting in a safe place. When you're practicing using new tools, do it either in a test environment where mistakes won't affect your live work, say on your website.
Hmm.
Um, but also, you can make sure that you have backups of your site before you make any big changes so that if you screw something up, you can always go back.
And I love that, Nikki, you introduced me to a tool that I use that has a little calendar on it. So I think I pay less than $3 a month for it. And if something major happens and gets screwed up, I can literally click on a date and it'll reinstate it back to that date, which I think is super awesome. You can also manually make a backup right before you make any big changes. So you have the most recent version of your website available.
Which I highly recommend.
Yes. And just so people know, the tool that we're talking about, I think it's called GoDaddy Hub. My version is called Manage WP. It's for WordPress. We don't recommend GoDaddy as a hosting platform at all. They just happen to have purchased this tool that is a really cool tool that exists. So
Right.
that's what we use, but it's not something that we would say, go use GoDaddy as your hosting website.
For sure. So the next tip is to celebrate small wins. We've been talking about this a lot lately. It's important to acknowledge each successful step that you make, no matter how small it is.
Yeah, if you just created your first blog post, celebrate, right? All the little
Absolutely.
the little wins that come with technology when you figure something out the first time. I think it's really important to celebrate those things.
Yep. And you can create a cheat sheet for yourself. Write down steps for tasks that you perform regularly to reduce anxiety, especially if it's a task that you don't do every day, because you're really likely to forget it over time.
Yeah, like what was the solution I used? And then you've got to go re-research it again. So it's really helpful to write those down so you can refer to them later.
Okay, and finally, it's important to stay curious. Approach new tools as opportunities to explore rather than challenges to overcome.
And Nikki, you're an expert at web design, but I bet even you stay curious and learn about new tech tools all the time. So can you think of one you had to learn recently?
Oh, yeah, I'm in the process of learning Shopify right now to build my new print on demand shop.
Hmm.
They offer a lot of great tutorials that I'm taking, and I'll probably find a Skillshare class or two.
Awesome. Well, speaking of Skillshare classes, resource utilization is really something that will help allay your tech fears. So you can take online courses. So platforms like Skillshare usually offer beginner-friendly courses that are tailored to creatives. And let me tell you about this podcast. When we first started this podcast, I had no idea how to edit audio. I had no idea how to cut out all those things that maybe are our mistakes and our bloopers.
Or dogs snoring.
Or dogs snoring in the background. And so learning how to do that, I actually watched 2 or 3 different courses on Skillshare, and I learned how to use Adobe Audition, which is the specific software I use to edit this.
And I did a course on Premiere Pro to learn how to edit the videos that I post for this podcast for each episode on social media.
Yeah, so it really is something that you can start from scratch when you know nothing. We're living proof that we did it. We just kind of figured it out as we went along. Now, another thing you can do is to join supportive communities. So participate in forums, in Facebook groups, or local meetups where you can learn and ask questions. And don't forget about the Startist Society Facebook group where you can always ask questions there. You'll want to leverage tech support as well. So most tools that you are learning have help desks, FAQs, and customer service ready to assist. Now, I definitely use the Divi support desk for my website. So I use WordPress and I have a theme called Divi that you can do a million things with. It's super cool. I know, Nikki, you use Divi as well.
I use it for my own website, for the Startist Society website, and for all of my client websites now.
Yeah, it's very flexible. It does a million things, but because it does a million things, you can have a lot of questions. Like, I want to do this and I can't figure out how to do it. And so they have staff that is there for live support chatting. Like you can put a question in there and within hours you'll get responses back on what to do or, how to solve your problem. So I've been really impressed with them. and they'll usually get back to you again within the same day.
And the same with SiteGround, which is who we do recommend for web hosting. They have amazing support. You can send an email and they'll get back within a few hours, but you can also do a live chat where they respond immediately and they're super helpful.
Yeah, I love that. And SiteGround, it's funny because I was using SiteGround before I met Nikki. And then I met Nikki and she was using SiteGround as well. So they really are a great, reputable web hosting platform or web hosting company.
Yeah, they're fantastic.
All right. So the next thing you can do is invest in automation. So you can use apps and tools to handle repetitive tasks like social media scheduling or invoicing. And there's a lot of apps you may already use for other things that can actually do these types of things now. So Canva Pro or Adobe Express, for example, can now post to your social media platforms. And Adobe Express even has this functionality where it can automatically add your branding with your logo to your social media posts. There's just like a little button you can click on branding and click your logo and then place it wherever you want in the image. So I think that's super cool as well because it just automates a process. You don't have to figure out like how to do that in Photoshop. It can do it automatically in a very handy app.
For sure. And so for some long-term strategies, upgrade gradually. Keep your technology simple when you're getting started and only invest in tools that directly benefit your business, not because they have all the bells and whistles and you feel like you need it right now because it's what you've seen on a 10-year veteran who has hundreds of thousands of followers.
And that's tough because you want to use the best tools. And sometimes you'll see, even when it comes to things like email marketing, Nikki, like you'll see somebody go, oh, well, I use this fancy funnel and I use this, I'm trying to think of some of the platforms, Drip, or there's different platforms that they use. And when you look up the pricing, it's like hundreds of dollars a month, right? For whatever those platforms are. And you don't need that when you're getting started.
You don't need that. And all it's going to do is overwhelm you. So start with something simple and free or inexpensive that has the basics. And as your needs grow, then you can move up to the next level.
Right.
And like we said before, track your progress. Keep a journal or a list of new skills that you've learned to remind yourself how far you've come and the progress that you've made.
So, Nikki, what are our key takeaways today?
Well, the most important thing is remember that technology is your partner in creativity, not a roadblock. Start small, take it one step at a time, and celebrate every win along the way.
You don't need to be a tech expert overnight. Progress is what matters. And choose one tip from today's episode and put it into action this week. Overcoming tech fears is about persistence and patience. Keep experimenting, stay curious, and don't be afraid to ask for help when you need it.
Be sure to subscribe to the Startist Society podcast to join us as we dive deeper in upcoming episodes on various tech topics like websites, email marketing, and AI.
To read today's Startist Society show notes, go to startistsociety.com/techfears.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.